So, probably gonna be a little loud. Walk. Probably gonna be a little loud, walking next to the road. Probably gonna be a little bumpy. Got this thing hanging off my neck. I get this cool angle. I got a microphone set up. A little wind blocker, a little dead cat. But I have no idea how this is gonna turn out. Anyway, I'm just gonna walk and talk. This is my little buddy, Aspen. She's a cute little husky. She is very energetic. She is very curious. She smells everything, and so she wants to stop and smell all of it, which is probably a good thing. Take a little lesson from that, you know. Stop and smell the roses, as they say. But anyway, so today I was thinking about the 48 laws of power. Not specifically, but something that came up in that book, which, just to share right off the bat, maybe everything in there is true, I don't know. But I don't necessarily buy all of it. I think it's got some good little snippets in there that you can draw some good stuff from. But then there's some stuff that I'm just like, nah, it's not for me, which is totally fine. You don't have to blindly accept everything just because one person wrote it or because this person is seen as an authority, you know, on whatever the subject matter is. But I can tell you, there's one thing I was thinking about, and it was talking about losing your power. Specifically, it was talking about how if you give people your approval too freely, come on, bud, can you walk? You're holding me up. The concept of giving people your approval too freely causes you to lose power. And what that means, if you give your approval too freely, if you're too supportive, if it's easy to get your approval, right, then people don't value your opinion or your take on things as much. Because first of all, they don't know if you're really being truthful, because maybe you won't tell them the truth. You just kind of blindly support them. You know, so I can see where that could become a problem over time because people don't really respect you. I think that's definitely true, and I think it's even just comparing it to, you know, I don't know, compare it to like the economy or anything, real estate, cars, diamonds, anything. If something is hard to come by, something's hard to get, scarce, you know, then it's inherently more valuable. Yeah, so same thing with approval or support or whatever. If you don't give it so freely, then people value it more. It kind of sucks. Because I can tell you, for me personally, I'm going to support all my buds. Anybody who's trying, who's doing anything out of the ordinary, you know, leaving the 9 to 5, starting their own business, whatever, deciding that they want to write a book or they want to paint or anything, you got my support. Now, if you ask my opinion on any of that stuff, I'm going to tell you, probably, I'm going to say, I think it's good, however, and then I'll tell you what my opinion is, but only if you ask me, because I don't like being that guy that, you know, gives you unsolicited advice, because I ultimately don't know anything. I don't know shit. I'll tell anyone that at any time. I don't know anything. There are certain things that I have, you know, certain things that I think are true, and I base that on my own experiences. Your experiences are different, and especially when it comes to things that are subjective, right? Like, I'll give you my opinion on it if you ask, but ultimately it's subjective. Art, writing, anything, if this is what you're most proud of and this is the way that you want it, then it's perfect, it's great. If it's not well received by everyone, so what? That kind of leads me into the book The Creative Act by Rick Rubin, which so he's talking about that exact thing in that book. He says if there's a piece of a work that you are putting time into, you're honing it and trying to make it as good as you can, and then you this work, this piece, whatever the fuck you want to call it, it has 5 mistakes. Well, maybe you need to go back to the drawing board and keep refining and whatever. However, sometimes if that piece has 8 mistakes, maybe that's actually perfect. Maybe that's the truest expression of your creative mind, or whatever you want to call it. And again, I don't know anything, but the way I feel is that we don't know where the creativity comes from. We don't know if it's housed in our brains or it's housed somewhere else. I can tell you, I have tons of ideas and shit all the time, which is, pretty common with people with ADHD, right? There's always have this new idea all the time, new business idea, squirrel. But I don't know where that comes from. I don't think that I'm actually logically thinking these things up. They just pop in your head. They can be completely random. You might be eating some chicken wings or whatever you prefer to eat, and all of a sudden something pops in your head and you're like, oh my God, that's incredible. I've had ideas over the years that popped in my head and I didn't act on them. I just talked about them, which is what I tend to do usually. But since I didn't act on them, 5-10 years later, I'll see someone else that came up with this incredible idea. I was like, oh shit, I thought of that 10 years ago, Oh God, don't die. So, I don't know, I don't believe really that this stuff is housed in our brains, creativity. I think it comes from somewhere else. Who knows what it is? I imagine a big pool in the ether that's just sitting there, and we are conduits or antennas or what have you. And we tune in to this certain frequency that aligns with whatever it is that we are interested in the moment. The ideas come to us, and thank God for that. Because if we had to actually think of all of this stuff, I don't know that we ever would. Because I don't know how you can logically come up with something. I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't know. I don't have any idea. I don't know anything. But there was a point to this. Let me think for a second. Shit. So the point to all this is that I think art is subjective, and if you feel that this is the purest form of your artistic expression without taking into account how people are going to receive it, then it's great, it's perfect. If you're only trying to make money with it and have it be well received by everyone, then maybe it's not that pure. So, because of that idea, that concept, I'm all about supporting anybody who's doing anything that is out of the ordinary or scary, or putting themselves out there, opening themselves up to criticism, that they are trying, then I'm on your side. I'll give you my opinion if you want it, if you ask for it, but I'm not going to knock anything that you're doing or try to tear you down to make myself feel better or that I'm a better artist. You know, any of that kind of stuff. There's not a competition. I think artists should only collaborate. I don't think they should compete. Which is why some of these things like short film contests and stuff, the competition part is I'm not down with it, because it's open to interpretation and, you know, preference and taste, and potentially just maybe one person or maybe just a small handful. And that doesn't mean that your, you know, creation is not as good as other people's. I think it's great, and I think it's amazing that you tried and you actually followed through on something, which is pretty hard for creative people to do, especially creative people with ADHD. Following through and finishing something is the hardest. I mean, I've created just a pile of things. I have a pile of half-finished things, whether it's music or writing or painting or, you know, concepts that I came up with for like digital art or, you know, video projects. I have a lot of things that are started but never finished. And so if you're finishing your stuff, I am on your side, all about it. But anyway, I think that's going to be my little short video for the day. I'm starting to sweat even though it's chilly out here. But yeah, how do I say goodbye? I guess I just say it. Bye.